Hi Guy, welcome back CBS Beyond the Gates Spoilers. That the confrontation between Jacob and Elon began with an unexpected event. When Naomi decided to reveal a secret she had kept hidden for many years. Pressured by Anita's deteriorating health and the fact that Vernon had been kicked out of the house, Naomi felt guilty and overwhelmed, as if everything in her life was falling apart. The feeling of anguish became unbearable, and Naomi finally decided to share with Jacob something she had concealed for so long. She carries the BRCA gene. This was a secret that not only affected her but also the entire family. However, instead of receiving empathy from Jacob, Naomi was met with an entirely opposite reaction. Jacob erupted in anger, unable to believe Naomi had kept this from him all this time. The trust he had in his wife was severely shaken and he could not accept her secrecy. Faced with disappointment and fury, Jacob lost his composure, and his harsh words rained down on Naomi. Their already strained relationship now became irreparably fractured. When Elon witnessed the scene, he couldn't stand idly by. Under the weight of the situation, Elon intervened without hesitation, sharply criticizing Jacob's treatment of Naomi. He felt that Jacob had mishandled the situation and had not shown his wife the respect she deserved. During such a vulnerable moment, Elon, always the family protector, could not accept Jacob's behavior, and this only heightened the tension between the two men. The harsh words exchanged between Jacob and Elon reflected not only the eruption of a family dispute, but also a deeper division in their fundamental values. Jacob, in his fury, felt betrayed by the very woman he loved. He could not understand why Naomi had hidden such an important truth, and this made him question everything they had built together. Meanwhile, Elon, with the perspective of a father and brother, believes Jacob had not fully grasped Naomi's circumstances, that she had been under immense pressure and suffering for far too long. The tension between Jacob and Elon escalated, creating a deep rift in their relationship. This was not just a clash between two men but a fundamental disagreement about family values, trust, and protection. Both could no longer see eye to eye, and this divide created a fracture that threatened to unravel their bond. Elon and Jacob were now at opposite ends, and the rift between them was profound. The consequences of this conflict would reverberate throughout the family, affecting their relationships in ways they could never have imagined. This confrontation was not just a storm in the Hawthorne family, but also a stark reminder of the fragility of trust and forgiveness in complex relationships. The aftermath of this argument would have long-lasting effects, altering the dynamics and future of their family. What had once been a tightly knit family was now at risk of falling apart, with Jacob and Elon unable to bridge the gap between them. The fracture between Jacob and Elon was just the beginning of a larger war, one that would not only involve the two men but also questions of love, loyalty, and betrayal. When secrets that can no longer be hidden explode into the open, the lives of those involved are thrown into turmoil and the repercussions are far-reaching. The question now was whether this family could survive these challenges, or if everything would come to a tragic end. Ultimately, as the tension reached its peak, Naomi stood at a crossroads. She could choose to protect her family, to heal the wounds in Jacob's heart, or she could continue hiding the truth, knowing that her silence would tear the family apart. This story would not end until Naomi made her final choice, a choice that could change everything. Naomi stood in the dimly lit hallway, the weight of the moment pressing down on her chest like a physical force. The words she had just spoken to Jacob hung in the air, thick with the anger and disbelief that had clouded his face. Jacob's eyes were filled with shock, betrayal, and something darker, something Naomi hadn't seen in him before. In the silence that followed, she could feel the distance growing between them, an insurmountable chasm that neither of them could bridge. As Naomi walked away, she heard Ellen's voice rise in defense of her. But it wasn't the comfort she had hoped for. Ellen's words, though meant to protect her, only seemed to magnify the divide between father and son. "Jacob, you can't just rage at her like this," Elon snapped, his own voice trembling with anger. "Do you even hear yourself?" Jacob turned to Elon, his face contorted in frustration. "She's been lying to me. For how long? All this time, she's been hiding something so crucial from me. And you think I'm the one who's wrong? She's my wife. I have a right to know the truth," his voice cracked with emotion, the pain in his words unmistakable. But Elon, who had always been the one to patch things up, seemed unable to soothe the storm. Instead, he stepped closer to Jacob, his expression hardening. "You think you know what it's like for Naomi? Do you understand the pressure she's under? What she's been hiding from all of us, including me?" Ellen's tone was sharp, filled with a mixture of hurt and anger, but Jacob wasn't ready to hear it. "I don't care," Jacob snapped, his voice rising. "I've spent my whole life trusting her. How could she hide something like that from me? We've been building this life together, and now she drops a bombshell on me like it's nothing?" Ellen's face softened for a moment, his voice taking on a more vulnerable tone. You need to calm down, Jacob. We don't always get to choose what we keep hidden, especially when it comes to something like this. Naomi is carrying a burden she didn't want to share with you, because she feared how you might react. Jacob stepped back as if struck by the weight of his father's words. The truth of Ellen's words cut deep, but his pride and anger kept him from fully accepting them. Maybe she should have trusted me, Jacob muttered, his voice bitter. I've always trusted you, Jacob, Elon replied, his tone unwavering. But trust is a two-way street. You're going to have to decide which is more important to you, being right, or being there for your family when they need you the most. Jacob stood frozen for a moment, grappling with the storm inside him. But the moment of clarity didn't last long. His gaze drifted back to Naomi, who was standing in the distance, looking at them both. Her face was a mixture of pain and resignation, and it tore at Jacob's heart. He wanted to apologize, to reach out, but pride-blinding pride kept him rooted in his spot. He couldn't shake the feeling that Naomi had betrayed him in a way that was unforgivable. The woman he had trusted above all others had hidden a monumental secret, one that could change their entire future. Meanwhile, Naomi's mind raced. The weight of Jacob's anger and Ellen's disappointment was too much to bear. Her decision to reveal the truth had been born from guilt, but now it felt like it had only worsened everything. She had hoped that, by sharing her secret, she would be met with understanding, perhaps even compassion. Instead, she was left with two men she cared about, both of whom seemed to be slipping through her fingers, their trust in her broken beyond repair. She glanced at Elon, who was still trying to intervene, his voice calm but insistent. He had always been the mediator, the one who fixed things when they broke. But this time, even his words couldn't bridge the gap. Naomi knew deep down that things would never be the same again. As Jacob stormed out, his frustration palpable, Naomi stood there, feeling the weight of her choices pressed down on her shoulders. What had she done? She had thought honesty would free her, but instead, it had shackled her with a future of uncertainty. Her family, the one thing she had always held onto, was unraveling before her eyes. Elon placed a hand on her shoulder, offering a quiet, unspoken support. But even he couldn't mask the distance that had grown between them all. You did what you thought was right, Elon said softly. But sometimes doing what's right doesn't always fix everything. And sometimes, the people we love the most are the hardest to face. Naomi nodded slowly, her heart heavy with regret. The future she had once imagined of peace and trust felt more distant with every passing moment. She was no longer sure where her family stood, or even if they would ever truly be whole again. But what was clear was this: the battle for her family's trust was only just beginning, and Naomi wasn't sure if she had the strength to fight it. With each step she took toward repairing the broken bonds, the more she realized that no matter how hard she tried, things might never return to what they were. As she stood there, watching Jacob disappear into the distance, Naomi knew one thing for certain: the road ahead would be long, fraught with challenges, and perhaps even more painful than she had ever anticipated. And in that silence, the question lingered, unanswered: could their family survive the storm they had created, or was this the beginning of the end? The tension in the Hawthorne household was thick with suspicion, leaving no room for the trust that had once defined the family's foundation. Elon, always perceptive, had begun to notice Naomi's increasingly secretive behavior. His sharp instincts told him that something wasn't right, but what could it be? Naomi, the woman he had known for years, was hiding something, and the more he watched her, the more it became evident that there was more beneath the surface than she was letting on. His suspicions grew with each passing day. Naomi, who had always been open and transparent, now seemed to be avoiding certain conversations and acting in ways that didn't align with her usual self. It was subtle at first: slight hesitations in her words, averted gazes, and moments when she appeared lost in thought, as though she was grappling with an overwhelming burden. But then it became undeniable. Something was off, and Elon wasn't one to let things slip by unnoticed. It wasn't long before Elon turned his attention to Jacob. His son's uncharacteristic protectiveness over Naomi only fueled Ellen's growing doubts. Jacob, usually the more reserved of the two, was acting differently. His actions suggested that he was covering up something, and Elon couldn't ignore the fact that the sudden change in behavior between them seemed too deliberate to be coincidental. One evening, Ellen's suspicions reached their boiling point. He could no longer sit back and watch as Naomi's secrecy lingered in the air, suffocating the family. He had to confront Jacob. In a quiet moment when the house was still, Elon decided to approach his son, determined to get to the bottom of it. There was no more room for doubt or evasion. Jacob, Elon began, his voice calm but laced with an edge of concern. Something's going on with Naomi. I know her well enough to see that she's hiding something from all of us. Jacob stiffened at the mention of Naomi's name, but he quickly composed himself. "What are you talking about, Dad?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. Ellen's eyes narrowed. "Don't lie to me, Jacob. I've seen how you've been with her lately. You've been unusually protective, and I know there's more to this story than you're telling me. What's she hiding?" Jacob hesitated, his mind racing for an answer. His first instinct was to defend Naomi, to protect her at all costs. But he also knew that revealing her secret was something he couldn't donate now. Naomi's condition, her genetic risk, was not something she wanted anyone else to know. It was her truth to share when she was ready, and he wasn't about to betray that trust. Especially not to his father. "Naomi's fine, Dad," Jacob finally said, trying to sound convincing. "You're overthinking it. There's nothing for you to worry about." Elon wasn't convinced. His eyes bored into Jacob, seeing through the flimsy facade he had put up. The lie didn't sit well with him. He knew his son better than anyone. And this sudden defensiveness, this inability to come clean, was not like him. "I don't believe you, Jacob," Elon said, his voice lowering with frustration. "There's something you're not telling me. And you're trying to cover it up. Is this about Naomi's health? Or is there something more going on here?" Jacob's heart pounded in his chest. His father's words hit harder than he had anticipated, but he couldn't let go of Naomi's secret. It was not just about her health, it was about protecting her from the world. From the judgment that would inevitably follow if the truth came out. Naomi was already struggling with so much, and Jacob wasn't about to add to her burden. His love for her, his need to shield her, made him desperate. In that moment, Jacob made a decision, a choice that would only complicate matters further. He would lie. He would cover up the truth, not just for Naomi, but for himself. "It's nothing, Dad. Naomi's been dealing with some personal stuff. But that's it, really. Nothing to worry about." Ellen's brow furrowed in disbelief. He could see right through Jacob's lie. His son's face betrayed him, his unease too palpable to ignore. The longer Elon looked at Jacob, the clearer it became that something was very wrong. The story wasn't adding up, and the lie Jacob had just told only fueled Ellen's suspicions further. "I know you're lying, Jacob," Elon said, his voice now colder. "I can see it in your eyes. Whatever it is, you're hiding it, and that doesn't sit right with me." Jacob's pulse quickened as the weight of the confrontation pressed down on him. This wasn't just about Naomi's secret anymore. This was about the unraveling of trust between father and son. Jacob had spent his life trying to live up to Ellen's expectations, but now, with every passing word, he felt the foundation of their relationship cracking. How could he protect Naomi when even his own father was questioning his loyalty? "I'm not hiding anything," Jacob replied, his voice thick with emotion. "You just don't understand. Naomi has been through a lot, and I won't let you destroy what little piece she has left." Ellen's jaw tightened as the realization hit him. This wasn't just a matter of Naomi's secret. This was about Jacob's loyalty, about his willingness to protect someone at all costs, even if it meant lying to his father. Elon, once a pillar of strength and support, now felt a pang of doubt about his son's integrity. "You're not telling me the truth, Jacob," Elon said softly, almost as if speaking to himself. "And now I have to wonder what else you're hiding from me. What are you involved in? This isn't just about Naomi anymore, is it? There's something bigger here, something I don't know. And you're keeping it from me." The word stung, cutting deep into Jacob's soul. His father's distrust was a blow he hadn't been prepared for. He had always known Elon to be the one person he could rely on, but now, standing in front of him, Jacob felt the weight of a painful truth. The one person who had always been his rock was now questioning his every move. "I don't know what you're talking about," Jacob muttered, stepping back. The distance between them felt unbearable. "I'm not involved in anything, okay? I'm just trying to protect Naomi." But Elon didn't believe him, not anymore. The cracks in their relationship were too deep now, and the trust that had once bound them seemed irreparably shattered. As Jacob walked away, a heavy silence fell between father and son. The gulf that had opened between them was no longer something easily ignored. Ellen's suspicions were growing, and he couldn't let go of the feeling that Jacob was involved in something much darker than he was willing to admit. He had to know the truth, and he would stop at nothing to uncover it. The family, once united, was now standing at the precipice of a divide that would change everything. Ellen's resolve hardened as he watched Jacob retreat into the distance. No matter the cost, he would find out what was going on. And once the truth came out, there would be no turning back. In the shadows, Naomi watched the interaction unfold. The weight of the situation pressed down on her, and the secret she had been keeping for so long felt like a ticking time bomb. Would she be able to protect her family, or would the truth tear them apart forever? The Beyond the Gates CBS Spoilers channel specializes in analyzing, theorizing, and discussing plot points in the series from the perspective of a longtime fan. This allows viewers to gain deeper, more objective, and interesting insights. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest news about the series.